Okay, here we go. Here we go. We're going. Hang on. Ba, 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 ba. Hello, good evening. Sorry, MIDI, Isn't it? Let me just bring this microphone in because I know that people like to hear me nice and loud. I hope that's loud enough for you over there. Looks like that's good. That's good evening. Hello, I'm Robin and welcome to Molten Chat. This evening's live stream of extraordinariness, talking about extraordinary things and extraordinary worlds of electrons and movement of sound and audio and bits and pieces through lots of different bits of gear for everyone's amusement, which is good. Trying to get MIDI to work. I've got this thing here. This at one time was just the answer to every question. Every MIDI question I had was answered by this little thing, but I can't get it to work. It doesn't seem to be passing MIDI, or is it? I mean, it did briefly, and then it no longer is, and that's a pain because I really wanted to be able to play two things at once, and this is the sort of thing that would enable that. But I'll be buggered if I could work out why. But hey, we'll just have to do things one at a time. That's not the end of the world, I don't suppose. Hope you're doing all right this evening. I am knackered. I've had a very long day. Thank you very much for asking. Oops, excuse me. Let me just try to get myself sorted out here. Hi, Jeff. Good to see you. Cloudface. Hand pink waving. I don't know what that means, but that's nice. Ken, good to see you, sir. I hope the beer is chilling. I need to find mine in a moment. I think Cultural Ghosts, Blue, X-Eyes. I still don't know how to say your name, mate. Steve. Let's call you Steve. Vinyl Archaeologist. That's a rather natty looking handle you've got there. Holger, good to see you. Tasha. Hello, another culture. Never mind. I'm not going to be very spot on this evening. I might even take my jumper off. That seems crazy because I've been so cold most of the time. But anyway, here we are. It's good for you to come and join us. I hope you're doing okay. I hope all my streams are working out in the places where they should be. If you're over on Facebook, give us a shout. If you're on Twitch, what on earth are you doing? What are you, some kind of 5-year-old? Or if you're over on Twitter, well, good luck with that. That's all I can say. Corey, good to see you. It's always good to have you with us. Hey, Village Green Sound System. It's great to have you all here. So, this evening, what is the plan? Well, I am going to take my jumper off, actually. Just excuse me for a second. I'm starting to warm up. I'm going to grab my beer. Keep that in the hand in case it gets something later. I don't want to trip over that particular cable. That's an important one. Hey, right. So, what happens in these sorts of things? You could be asking. Are we just supposed to sit here looking at a disorganised bloke fiddle with things? Get that out of the way. Oh, goodness me. Oh, I've lost everything. It's all gone away. Come back. I don't understand that. I don't know what that's about. I'd like to talk to Mr. Microsoft about that, please. Anyway, so here I am. I'm back. No shirt tonight. Sorry. I've been busy. I've been rehearsing all day, which has been fun. Guitar though. I've got a village gig in June, and it's very exciting. It's called the Revels, and myself and some friends are putting a band together to play a bunch of old kind of indie rock to entertain the old ladies and kids and stuff. So we had our first practice today. Wasn't too bad. We've done this before. We've done it probably 5 times over the last 10 years, I would say. 15 years. So, old pros and all that. But my fingers hurt. Cool. From a lot of playing today and singing. You can probably hear it in my voice. So hey, that's exciting. I do like to rock out sometimes. That's very exciting. One day I would like to try to bring that into modular electronic music, and it's quite a struggle. Although, having said that, just had Finley Shakespeare's new album through, and that's awesome. What some great synth pop kind of, shouty, full of vim and vigor electronic music that is. It's a really good time, and I'm inspired by that man. I feel like I really could sing along with it, but the problem with that is it kind of requires building a song. And building a song on Modular is something I've not had a great deal of success with. I could build a piece of music. I can go anywhere you like with a piece of music. I can jam till the cows come home. But to create a repeatable song, but maybe that's not it. Maybe my angle should be that every song is unique. So in some ways I need to just come up with a couple of ideas I can then sing about, or even just come up with some lyrics to add improvised into whatever it is that comes out. I mean, that's probably the way to do it. But you know, that's just as scary as anything else. Anyway, Travasi, hey, good to see you here. I'll have to do some techno in your honour or something. Which is likely, because that just seems to be where we always end up. James, hi, good to see you. Grant, nice. Good, you're all rolling in. That's great. Good to see you. Thanks ever so much for turning up. So, as I say, I'm a bit wet. So I think I should pour myself a drink. Now this month's beer is from Green King. Now this is a bit weird, right? Because Green King is like an old man's beer that were in pubs, a lot of Norfolk pubs anyway. I think it's a Norfolk brewery, and you would never drink it. I mean, it's the on tap house lager, so you didn't ignore that, and usually have something better. And so, but anyway, Green King have just reinvented themselves with this rather natty tin. And I am a sucker for an interesting tin. So I thought, well, I'll have some of that. It's calling it Flint Eye. Flint also is a bit of a Norfolk thing. Norfolk-Suffolk thing, perhaps. Anyway, this is a dry hopped lager, so it says. Refreshingly filtered. So I'm going to give that a bit of a go. Well, I've already given a few of these a bit of a go. Not today, mind. So I'll have a bit of that. Green King IPA. That's a classic. So for any beer to be successful, it's a bit fizzy. Can you hear that? Yeah, I mean, you could record. The thing is that once you have a guitar in your hands with Modular, is your hands are full. You know, you're done. And unless you're going to then invest in a lot of clever foot switches, it's just too much. I think it's too much. I would much rather do something indie and exciting without the guitar. I mean, I understand how to do that with guitar. How to do it here, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting though, isn't it? What is it about sort of indie rock that has that emotive edge to it? And what is it about that? Is there any way to capture that without trying to emulate strings? Do you know what I mean? You know, I mean, does sort of techno type music, does that have that kind of energy? It sort of does, but it's in a different way. Yeah, it requires a little bit of thought. And probably listening to a lot of people. It's a very fizzy beer. Look at that as a lager. Nice. Yeah, the Abbott Ale's all right, Ken. I would agree with that. See, Jeff, you talk about chord structures, because I think the last time we were here, we were looking at the microscale, or I was, and I learnt that I can shift it about. I had no idea. You can, in fact, you can put in your own scales and then choose those, or you can kind of shift the whole, transpose it up and down, which is another way of generating chords. So it is totally doable. Or, I mean, you just use a sequencer that works in that kind of way. So you can bring yourself into a keyboard paradigm, into more of a MIDI paradigm, and then, of course, you can do synth pop all day long on Modular. But what I think interests me is the idea of doing it in a modular way. So not, you know, I don't generally like to, I don't like this. I don't like the KeyStep Pro full stop. I don't like to sequence with it. I would much rather not sequence with this and Modular. I'd much rather use any other sequencer. But in this particular occasion, because what I'm doing at the moment, I'm playing with the OXI Instruments Coral, and that can be multi-part, and so I needed a multi-part polyphonic sequencer, and this is the one that I've got. I could have used the Chord had I thought about it, but I just couldn't be faffed with the interface trying to relearn all the buttons and stuff. Whereas a keyboard, you know, I understand a keyboard well enough, you know. So I thought we might have another look at the Coral this evening, see if I can run it through a few effects and have a bit of fun with it. Also might run it with the Polycinematic just to do it side by side. I mean, what I was trying to do with this bloody thing was play the two together, and I seem to be denied that at the moment. Because when I plug the MIDI out into here, this flashes, but then doesn't seem to be sending the MIDI on. But again, you know, it's MIDI, so it's deliberately obtuse. And I'm having to deal with two different types of MIDI in. One of them is an A and one of them is a B, and I don't know which is which, and I get them backwards, and then so you spend a lot of time with it not working. This is everything I hate about MIDI, is all this not working business. Whereas control voltage, you know, you can make it work by sticking it on your tongue, for heaven's sake. You can't do that with MIDI. So I find that uber frustrating. But anyway, let's not dwell on that for the moment. Hey, Noise, good to see you. Oh, I need to upgrade my 11-year-old music computer. Well done for going so long. I mean, 10 years on a computer, that's good. That's good. Do I need to reinstall my large VST collection? Or is there an easier way, like a time machine? No, there's no easier way, I would say. Let me expand on that. I'm going to take a swig and I'll tell you. Now, something I've realised is that I don't know anything. Something I've realised is that I've now been out of the computer building game for a few years, and it's amazing. It is amazing how quickly you lose touch and grasp of all of that. It's like somebody was asking me about why I use mechanical drives rather than SSD drives. And I was saying, well, because SSD drives are massively expensive, you know, in comparison to a mechanical drive. So get one, sure, but use it as your system drive. It speeds everything up. That's great. You know, a relatively modest sized one, and then use mechanical drives for the rest. But of course, since the last time I bought one, that's changed radically. And now the price of SSDs is only about double that of a mechanical drive. So that's much better value for money these days. But anyway, what am I saying? It's just that, yes, that computers change. And so I have to be a little bit more cautious with my computer advice. But what I would say to you, Mr. Cholera, nice name, is that if you are changing your PC, I mean, after 10 years, can you upgrade what you already have? Not really. The only things you could probably keep are the case and the power supply. Everything else is going to have to change because any new processor is not going to fit in your board. Any new RAM is not going to fit in your board. So that means new processor, new board, new RAM. So those three things mean that your install of Windows on your hard drive is completely screwed. It will not understand the new system that you plug it into because it won't have any of the drivers for any of the technology that's on the motherboard. Now, it's possible that it would wheeze itself, oh dear, that it would wheeze its way on through and somehow struggle to get into Windows and then go, oh yeah, I can do this. And then you could perhaps put in the CD, if that sort of thing still exists, and install the drivers, and it would, you know, it might work itself to the point of working. The problem with that is that you would never feel confident that the system is running at its most efficient because it's come from an old system, you plugged it into a new system, and it's going to be full of old crap, basically. And it is always, always far, far better to wipe the drive and start Windows afresh on a new system. Always. As I say, you can get away with not doing it, but it's never, I don't believe it's ever going to be a happy system. And it's just going to end up, you'll get going, oh, this is rubbish. This new system is rubbish. My old system is much better. I said, no. It's just because you haven't done a clean installation. So I would highly recommend doing a clean installation. That means, yeah, every single plugin will have to be reinstalled. It's the way of things. Now, I would flip that idea and say that this is an awesome opportunity to clean out your system, because you don't need all those plugins. You really don't. You're not using half of them. You're not using a third of them. So it gives you an opportunity to only install the plugins that you actually use. And you'll find that your system is cleaner, leaner, meaner, faster, more fruity because of it. As well as you've got 10 years of crap that's on your Windows drive that you really do need to just clean through and get rid of. So it's painful, yes, but it's also it's therapeutic, it's cathartic, it's good for you to go through and only install the plugins that you actually use, I think. So yeah, that is the answer to that, and I appreciate the dollars very much. Andrew, hi, die, good to see you. Yeah, and that's the other thing. If you've got things which have some kind of registration that's required on a plugin, and then if you change the hardware, it will spanner out anyway, and you'll probably have to uninstall it and reinstall it. Sometimes they can be kind and just go, oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing, can you please reauthorize me? But other times they just break. So again, another reason to do a nice clean install. Hey, that was one thing at NAMM actually, that there was a guy who got excited about MIDI 2. I think it was Mr. MIDI, you know, who the format is named after, and he was quite excited about MIDI 2. I don't think anybody else on the planet is, to be honest, but he was, and that was good to see. It's good to see someone individually excited about their own little project. Well, Andrew, if you've had a breakthrough, mate, you should go and do that. You should go and do that. Oh, don't give me this Mac Mini business. Oh, is it awesome? Well, I'm so happy for you. I hope you're terribly, terribly happy in your mini space and in your mini place. I hope that's lovely. It's never really worked out for me. Anyway. Oh, yeah, farting around on Macs, great. Yeah, you see, the thing with that is that you'll just wake up one morning and none of your stuff will work, because that's just what Apple do. They push stuff onto your system and then nothing works. Whereas on Windows, you can still run plugins from Windows 3.1 most of the time. But anyway, I'm not interested in that kind of Mac PC discussion. It doesn't do me any good. So what was I going to do? Yeah, so we were going to perhaps do a little bit of messing about in the Coral, a little bit mess about in the Polycinematic. I thought perhaps I could try to understand the chord pilot. I don't know. I don't know. I've got the brain power for it, and then we could just make some music, or maybe not just do any of that. Who knows? Who knows? So you are more than welcome to ask questions or talk about anything this evening. I'm trying to rack my brain for anything interesting to say. I mean, this is the post NAMM, I suppose, but I kind of said everything I wanted to say about that in the Molten Monthly. I don't have anything more to add, I don't think. We do have, of course, Superbooth just around the corner. Pretty sure I said to myself last year that I'm probably not doing this again, and yet here I am going again just for the day, like some crazy person. Do I have anything else? Well, as always, I've got more modules to try. I just wrote an article for Sound on Sound about rearranging Modular, and they asked me to take some photos, and it's perfect. I just have piles of stuff piled up all over the place, and it fits with it perfectly. Everything's just hanging out of every corner. But I am hoping to have a little bit of a reorganization around here, because I have some things which are going to help with that. Ooh. Must be nice to be able to get to Superbooth in a little over an hour. Yeah, that's not working for me. It's going to take me 4 hours this time. See, because well, I left it too late, basically. To fly from Stansted, which is what I normally do, takes about an hour and a half, I think, to get to Berlin. But there just were no flights. Not for sensible money, anyway. So I had a rethink and decided to go from Norwich, which is my local airport. And that makes a lot of things a lot easier, actually. It's just that you have to fly to Amsterdam in order to get anywhere. So it adds a couple of hours onto the whole thing. But I gain that back by not having to drive 2 hours to get to Stansted. So, you know, there's pros and cons. I don't know what I'm looking forward to, though, Blue. It's really difficult to say. I mean, there's plenty of interesting modular there. People I've been, you know, having fun with lately, like Rocket Science and Patching Panda. Knobula are there, Air Instruments, all these sorts of people making sound machines. Lots of people that I'm looking forward to having a look, and they've all got new stuff. Everyone's got some new stuff to bring along, which is great. Instruo got some new stuff coming out. So there's lots of stuff ready to be thrown at us at Superbooth. So lots of good stuff. I don't know about any of the larger synth companies. I've heard rumours of things from some larger companies coming along, but nothing as yet. In fact, we were expecting something, I think, from perhaps Yamaha at NAMM, but there wasn't anything. Hi, Uncle Peter. Yeah, no, the thing about installing in a Steinberg folder, no, that's just a legacy thing. It's very annoying. I mean, there must be some sort of function that most plugins, because most plugins behave themselves, and there's just some that don't, and that's really annoying. So I've always, out of a matter of like 30 years of habit, I create a VST plugins folder just on the C drive. Under program files. Program file, do I? Is it there that I put it? Program files, VST plugins? I think I do. And I install everything into there. And ignore anything that tries to go anywhere else. And I personally see that as a positive thing, because you may not have any Steinberg products that be running Cubase. So that makes sense to me. You love the Coral demo? Cool, yeah. Like I say, I might have another go in a minute. Yeah. So Vasky is launching at Superbooth. I've had a chat with him, actually. What did he talk about? It was something going, what is this? Oh yeah, no, that's right. Trying to get my head around it. I'm probably not allowed to say anything, so I won't. But yes, Vasky is launching some products. He helped This Is Not Rocket Science out with the Phoenix 4 rather, which is interesting. So he has some stuff coming up. But I think there's going to be tons. There's going to be loads and loads. I mean, this week, funny enough, I'm making a couple of videos for my favourite modular people, and I do have just a little tiny something of my own to contribute to Superbooth this year, which is exciting. Well, mildly exciting. I think it's exciting, and we might start dropping hints about that next week. I think, so I'm making a video tomorrow. It's bank holiday, but I've got to get on with it, because Bafako need the stuff, because I need to be sending stuff out to people and things. So I need to get on with it. Yeah, so there you go. The Village Screen Sound System is just asking any further collaborations. Yes, there are further collaborations, absolutely. Why wouldn't we? I mean, the wonderful little Molten Motion meter, I have one here, has been doing great guns. It's been really, really well received. It's just been splendid. A splendid experience all round. I'm sure we can stuff it up with something outrageous at some point, but at the moment this is working really well. So the Bafako is more than happy to work with me on some other madcap idea, and I can tell you I've got a big long list of madcap ideas, and we are working on a new one, but we're going to put that off until after Superbooth now. We just kind of ran out of time. But I do have, as I say, just a little something new to bring to Superbooth that I'm playing about with tomorrow. and things. So that's great. So yeah, so Bafaka will have that, and you'll be able to go and have a look. And they have new stuff too, which is quite exciting. Do I have any other insider information that I can just blurt out accidentally? No, I don't think so. I do try to keep to these things. Wibbly wobbly box, yeah. Yeah. Now I've just realised I've got 2 MIDI outputs on this. I wonder how if I can use. Can I use? Does that double up? Does anyone know how to use a KeyStep Pro? Hang on. Just give me. I've just had a thought. What's that? No, that's a. Let's hang on. I am not on cylinders not firing day today. Oh look, that goes in there. Oh look, yeah, right. So this red one, right, which is far too long, that emerges over here. That goes into that one. That could go into there. Oh yeah! Hang on, there's some tuning issues, I think. All right, this is a brilliant opportunity to complain about digital interfaces, because I need to tune these 2 oscillators. Both of them have a fine-tune function. Both of their fine-tune functions are under a shift function. So in order to hold a note and tune at the same time, I cannot do that. I don't have enough hands. That's just glorious. So, I mean, can I put a plectrum? No. Bit of tape. I could sequence it. That's what I could do. There we go. There we go. Problem solved. Yeah, so there we go. I solved that problem. I'm amazing at this kind of thing. Oh, the patching panda particles. Yes, you haven't built it yet. Oh, okay. So Jeff, I've understood more about the particles now. I got a little bit miffed by a comment I got on the YouTube video, quick sort of demo bit, telling me that I didn't have a clue what I was talking about. You know, that always grates away at you for a while because you kind of like to think that you do. And kind of I did, but not necessarily. But I felt that it was a little bit unnecessary thing to point out. But anyway, I have a much better idea of what it's doing now. And if I had the time, I would definitely do a proper video on it. I'm trying to think this week. I know, it is just like Video Kill the Radio Star. And that pleases me greatly whenever I can find that combination. Because I'm pretty sure I've got the plankton to do next. So I've got to do that. And then hopefully I can do particles. Possibly. Wedge a piece of paper in? Yeah. So the other things I've got in my little setup here. In fact, look, I can give you an overview. Wait for it. Is that doing? There we go. So a lot of people remarked on this because I put a couple of photos up. No, in fact, I did. Yeah. What am I talking about? Yeah, in the video, I did a video, of course, on the coral, and many people have commented on the beautiful colourfulness of this particular row of Eurorack. And it is a splendid thing. So let me move this out of the way a little bit. Oh no, you see now that's at a slight angle. That can't have that. But something is not quite. There we go. I need this. No, that way. Oh wait, there we go. Is that a bit better? Could be. But it is a beautiful row of interesting modules for sure. You know, they look extraordinary in this little roundup. I've also got the white rabbit in here, which is nice and exciting, that I've only played with very perfunctorily at the moment. In fact, what I could do... I see, I need that other cable. Oh, door. Where would that be? Hang on. That's no good. That's not it. Where's my blue cable? What did I do with that? Down. Does that go? There it is. I'm going to need to find Am I going to need to find another one? No, that should be fine. Ugh. So I could get the chord pilot to do some stuff, and then we could play with the Coral or the Polycinematic, and you could ask me what it is you'd like to hear. Yeah, now I've still got PAMs in there. Again, PAMs is something I like to do a proper review of. At the moment, I use it intuitively, which is odd for such a thing, but it's just remarkably easy to use, and you suddenly get stuff coming out that's useful. It's useful in a lot of different places, and the menu system, you know, I don't like the holding of the knob and then swapping between things particularly, but you know, it works, and you've got a whole load of clocks. I mean, I would have used a Molten clock divider, which is what I've got, funny enough, next to it, much more often, whereas now I can just kind of just use that, and that fills me with a certain amount of joy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick the chord pilot in here. So See, how annoying is it that it missed 8 out? Now, does anybody know what this is supposed to do? Because it messes me up a lot. Now what am I doing? I'm doing this on here. Not quite sure why it's giving us that tick. That's coming from that. Maybe it's just the front. See, I think something's not quite right. That's my feeling at the moment. Interesting, isn't it? Bach. Yeah, maybe. Can this reach over here? Possibly. Stuck notes, not stuck notes, means, you know, MIDI's not getting its note off business problem thing. So let's come over to the Polycinematic for a comparison. Then I'll come back to the Coral, so I wasn't entirely sure what I was doing. As you well know, it's a bit kind of 70s sci-fi, I think, at the moment, as much as anything. The Chord Pilot is still a mystery. There's moments of it where you get these extraordinary things, and you go on this little play and you go, well, this is amazing, and then it doesn't appear to do what you thought it was. I can never seem to get the strum thing to work. It works for a bit, and then I don't know. It confounds me, the Chord Pilot. I do need to sit down, like spend a day with it, properly trying to understand what it's trying to do, because there's, as I say, there's moments of extraordinariness in there that it creates this stuff. I mean, the arpeggiators I really like very much. I'm just not convinced that I have control over where I want it to go. Because, I mean, my assumption when you first get it out is that you program different chords into those 8 things. And that's actually not it. Well, it is it, but you're not programming chords from here. You're programming kind of shapes, which don't seem to have anything to do with pitch. Or do they? I don't know. I mean, in some ways it's like a lesson in music theory, which is way beyond me. For some reason. I mean, I'm relatively switched on, but I'm going, I don't understand. And there's not anywhere near enough control voltage to do stuff with. I mean, I've got a gate which seems to be doing things, but is it moving it round? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I don't know why it is and then why it isn't. Then I've got a buttons input which seems to select buttons, but then it's not at the moment, and I don't understand why it is, considering it's doing an entire sweep of an LFO. Why is that not working? I don't understand. And then the only other thing you've got control is bias, which kind of sends it up and down in pitch. Oh, it's completely, it's not baffling, it's just a little bit, I don't know what it's doing yet. I mean, I spoke to the man from Knobula. Oh, Jason, is it? I think, oh my goodness, my mind's just gone a blank. Who said he's just made a bunch of videos about it, which I have looked at, and I'm still none the wiser. It just takes a little bit of time. Some things take time. Like the Coral took time. I could, you know, I honestly couldn't do a video on it for a couple of weeks because I'd look at it and then I go, I don't quite understand. I don't quite get what I'm trying to achieve there. And, you know, even now it still does a bit of that. But I had to put my foot down at one point and say, right, got to make a video on it because otherwise it's going to take forever. This is always the problem with something which is a little bit too complicated to intuit your way into it. Yeah, no, I saw Jeremy and I thought that was brilliant because he seemed to be in the exact same place where I was, where it's like, Chord Pilot, yeah, okay, do this and do this and do this, and then what? And then he sort of sat down and worked his way through it without really showing us what he was doing, sadly. But he did work it out and was having a lovely time doing that. So I plan to do a little bit of that, I think, spending a bit more time with it. But I did think that was funny, so that's happening all at the same time. But what did you think about the sound between the two? See if I can get it just to do a circle of chords. Can I get it to do that? So if I get it to do slow chords. See, why is it that chord? I have no clue. And why is it not going round? I don't know that either. I'm on orbit. That's arpeggiate. That's orbit. So one would have thought it would go round. I don't know. I don't understand. See, now it's going round. But why is it going round? Because I put the strum thing up. Why isn't it strumming? Is that what happens when you put it on chord? Doesn't seem to be. Or maybe it is. See, now it's strumming all the time and I don't want it to. I think I might have discovered something. It doesn't sustain though, unless that's another thing I haven't worked out. It just fires. So let's go back round to the Super Saw. Perfect. Just had an idea, right? Let's put it back. Just had an idea. I'm just using. The reason why it sounds boring is because I'm just feeding it a steady trigger. I need to send it something more interesting. So to do that, I could employ particles. Then we could talk a little bit about particles and try to show you what it is that I think I might have discovered about it. See, that's an interesting thing to do. So let me come here. So out of particles, plug that into the gate input. Now I could still use this as the gate, although I don't really need to. I've got 100 other things that are kicking out what's-its. But I may as well, because it's sitting right there, isn't it? So I'm just using a cycle from that. That's just giving me out a single pulse. See that? Is that in the way? So you probably can't see this. You're not going to be able to see it in either direction. You can see it here. Can you see? Can I turn that in a little bit? Is that going to be of any help? Be able to? I don't know. It doesn't matter. You're just going to have to take my explanation of it. What am I doing? Right, so so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a kick out from that. Let's see if I can work out what on earth this is about. Does it need a clock in? Am I going to need to take this from somewhere else in order to take a clock? Is that going to be simpler? Ba -ba, ba -ba, ba -ba, ba -ba. Possibly, because nothing's happening on that, and I don't know why that is. Trigger one into there. So, okay, let me rewind. Let me not use that cable because that's going to really bug me. I have a lot of cables. They're just slightly out of reach. That's the sound of too many modules falling over. So, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take an output from Pam's that's going pub, put that in a clock in. That's going to be a good start. Then I'm going to go to number 2, and I'm going to put that down to not fire quite so often. And I'm going to plug that into, stop moving about you, into the trigger one. Now I'm getting flashy things. That's good. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. And the output of this is doing what exactly? It's going into the... I need one of Gaz's tubes of bloody patch cables. Who invented patch cables? What a waste of time, everybody's time. Then, so I've got MIDI. Let's plug it into here because, frankly, that's sounding more interesting at the moment. I don't know why it's 7. Why does it have to be 7? Why does it have to be 7? Anyway, so I've got a clock and a trigger going into particles, and at the moment I can force it to do various things. Let's go down to 16 on the front panel here. So I've got a slider here. As I push it up, it starts at the bottom on just going with the trigger, and what it adds is repeats. So I've got up to 16 repeats on this thing, which happens at the top end. So make it more synthy for you. Anyway, what we're trying to do here, right? I'm trying to get the particles to do its thing. Hang on. So yeah, so that's the first function is that you can multiply the triggers, yeah? So I could whack that to the top, which is 128. And it goes crazy. Nice though. I'm going to bring that down to a little bit more of a sensible, like 32. So so in straight away you could use it for like a roll on something, just by whacking it up and down. But the other function you have is probability and absorb. So if we go for probability first, I think it's on 100% probability. So what I can do is I can set this, I think. So now it's using probability, 50% probability, I think, to fire the trigger. And that's based on the trigger coming in. Yeah, got it? So I've now taken, so probability, put it back onto 100%, come out of it. Now, the alternative is to use absorb. Now, absorb is the same as probability, but it always makes sure that the first beat works. So the first beat isn't up for grabs, basically. So that gives you a little bit more of an ordered idea. See, that's so not working, is it? See, I thought I was well on that. But that is not doing that. We'll try it again. No. Interesting. See, I thought I had it. I thought I'd grasped it, and obviously I haven't. And I'm sorry about that. I'm sure I had that. Maybe I need to adjust it here. That's like a global. Maybe the two have to be used together, but then that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, still needs further investigation, I think. But now I do have a thing that's a little bit more random. Maybe what we need to have something else running alongside it so that we get a better sense of what the heck is all going on. Alright, I'm just going to fiddle with this a little bit. I feel some other things coming on. Let's go for banging drum mode on the wobbler. But in order to do that, I'm going to put that into trigger 2. The output of that, plug that into my trigger input here, see if that achieves anything of interest. How am I going to hear all this at the moment? That's only coming out of one side. I want to do better than that, don't I? Do I have a stereo mixer? I I do not. What should I do? What should I do? I can go in there and then go from... I could do that. Well, that's already pretty interesting. That's better. That's better. Nice. So now what I want to do is do some more particles to give that a bit more of a rhythm. Woo! See, that's now working. That's absorption working. Yeah. You see, you say like put an alternating hi-hat in, like I'm able to actually do that at the moment because I'm MIDI familying around. I don't have a way of programming a hi-hat just like that. I do have a hat module, so you know. But what could I use in order to do that? I don't actually have a trigger sequencer here. Or I could use the 4-gate plus. Don't know. I'm just going to try to make the wobbler do that sort of thing at the minute. Clock divider? For what? Oh, the patch cables are too tied around things. Hang on. So I've got to have a tidy. It's just a disaster. Well, there you go. There was a little bit of some stuff. Completely oblivious to what anybody else was saying. Is anybody still there? Yeah, maybe. What time is it? Oh, what's getting on? So, well, I mean, that was, what was that? That was some OXI Instruments Coral, some Polycinematic. Now, if I'm being really brutally honest at this point, I kind of found the Polycinematic much easier to pull a sound out of. With the Coral, because you have all these different sounds, you're sort of, which one am I using? Which one am I using? It feels to me very much like for the Coral, you need to think about it a lot more. You need to plan out what you're going to do and going to work with. It's not necessarily the sort of module you can drop into a patch or into a jam, or you just like patch it in and then start going with it. It feels like the Polycinematic you can, because it just sounds like a synth. That's all it is. I mean, it does have square waves and sawtooth waves and organ type sound, so you do have a little bit of a change. But what you get from it is an analog style synth, an emulated one. With the Coral, you have a lot of other things going in there, but you have to make the right decision on those. I mean, I guess it's a bit like playing with the Plats. What you don't want in the middle of a patch is you scanning through different sounds to decide which sound to use. You want to be more intentional with it. So the multi-part nature of the Coral is really good, because you can sit there and sequence with it properly and decide what it is you're going to do and select the sound or work on the sound, all those kinds of things. So it just has a different way of working. I mean, it's a phenomenally feature-packed module for a small setup, and has a lot more going on than the Polycinematic does. But the Polycinematic is very instant. It's very much there. You know what you're going to get. Its envelope is less sophisticated, I guess. You can't really separate the two out from the sound and the filter, I suppose. But it is a very pleasing analog sound. Oh, Booze over in Twitch, right? You probably can't see this if you're on YouTube, but he's just said he's been developing a prototype sampler sequencer module. Found it needs a bit of planning to get the best out of it. Yeah. Analog modules are much more fluid for live performance. It's a very good comment. Yes, I would agree with that. So it depends on what you're trying to do. What I'm finding with the Coral is I'm fiddling, spend a lot of time fiddling, and not always 100% confident on what sound engine that I'm on or what I'm doing with it. And so it just requires that level of intentional action, I think. I guess that's its thing. Chord Pilot, I don't know. I'm still not sure. I do need to sit down with that. The Wobbler though, great. Yeah, that's always showing its fun and its quality. That's great. Particles, starting to wrap my head around it. It's not always doing what I think it's doing, and then it does, and I don't know why it does and then doesn't and then does again. Bloody digital modules, eh? If everything would only just do what it kind of said on the front, that would make all our lives really, really much easier, I think. So yeah, but that was fun. Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt that the Polycinematic added something to it. I felt that the Coral was, I was fighting with it all the time, trying to find something interesting to do. Different though. Different. And this is all going to have to come apart tomorrow, because as I say, I'm doing a video on something else, which is going to involve me having to pull all this apart. But hey, it's all for a good cause. It's all going to be great in the end. I can tell you that. Yeah, wombling stuff out of old junk's always a good move, I think. The Erebus, yeah. The Erebus is really nice. Both of those. I mean, the Erebus in particular, I think. I mean, the Hades does have that extra beef to it, but as far as a little synth goes, the Erebus, I've always enjoyed it. I used to play with it. I mean, when it first came out in 2017, something like that, it was all over Synthfest, and I played with it a lot because I was at that time trying to buy my first hardware synth, and I was was going around trying out the Mother 32, trying out the No Coast, and trying out the Erebus. And the Erebus was brilliant. I very nearly almost bought one. But then I went away and thought about it and then decided to get a Mother 32 because I'm an idiot, I think, ultimately. But it's great. It's a great little thing. It sounds good. It's got, you know, it does the thing it's supposed to do. It sounds like a mono analog synth. It's got 2 oscillators. You've got a lovely bit of detuning. You've got a lovely filter in there. You know, it's got a lot going for it. A lot going for it. I've always got something to learn. Strings Assassin, always. How do I decide which modules to put in for a live session or jamming? I mean, it's actually not as it doesn't seem to be as hard as you would imagine, because there's just modules that I get on with. There's modules that I really connect with and want to use again, and that tends to be the driving. Still tend to be the driving force as much as anything else. It's like, for instance, Maelstrom sent me the Mandrake recently. They sent me 2 modules. The other one, I haven't got a clue what that does. It hasn't gone anywhere near any of my cases. But this one, I drop it in, I give it a trigger, and it flipping gives me an awesome kick drum. And it's just like, wow, that's staying, evidently. I mean, I can do a little bit of that in between. Do I want to? I don't know. But somewhere in there is just a flipping awesome kick drum. So yeah, that's never leaving the case. Yeah, and that's just how some of them are, you know. Whereas I got other ones, I mean, utility wise, you're sometimes trying to find, what do I need? I mean, Pamela's has actually helped with that, because I was fiddling around with different clocks and using clock dividers and mults and all sorts of things to try to get a spread of different clocks around the place, and that just sorts all that out very, very easily. So I probably don't need my clock divider anymore. The thing is with the clock divider that I like about it is that I can plug a clock in that's running the same time as everything else, and I can just take something from it and plug it into something without having to dial it in or choose what that is or understand what any of these numbers mean, because I do not. There's a flashing light, I can take that flashing light and trigger something. So a clock divider by itself in an analog style, one that's out there, is, I think, a really useful thing to have. So yeah, it's like that. I mean, I have a couple of different filters that I could choose from, what I fancy, you know, going on at that time, because they all work well. Similarly with oscillators, although the Pony VCO is really earning its place at the moment, because it's simple, it's there, it sounds nice, it's got a little bit of flavour to it with the timbre slider, and it's not taking up any space, and I don't need an oscillator to take up much space. So that's been great. So that's knocking around in there as well. So that tends to be the way things go. If I've been sent something new and I'm really enjoying it, like the Zaps, for instance, then that tends to knock around in a case for a while. But there's things I love, like the Deccar's Voice, which is in a box over there, which has not come out in ages, you know, and that's a crying shame. So there's inevitably stuff that overflows and bumps out to another spot. But you can't fit everything in. But I'm quite liking this setup, this one case and this one row, you know. I'm trying to do everything in a single case. I'm finding really difficult. I can't get enough stuff out of that. But these two combined, I mean, particularly almost like I've got a row of effects that I can use. I mean, that's quite an interesting thing to do, to patch stuff in to different effects as you go. But you know, I mean, I've got the fabulous Little Mum No Computer oscillator in here, but it doesn't need to be there. I could take that out and just got one little row of melody there. Particles for doing some interesting rhythms, which I'm into. I mean, the other thing you can do with particles, as I say, I will get into this in a proper video, is you can put something like U-grids into it, so you can get a pattern from somewhere else, stick the pattern into that, and then you can start pushing the faders up in order to create variations. And that's quite interesting. I'm very into that. There's a lot more to it than I've really gotten down to the bottom of as yet. So what we're talking about, I don't know. And then you just need other things to be able to do other things. I suppose. I don't know how easy it is to do it in a single case. Yeah, but the Polycinematic was working there. I mean, one of the problems I have with the Polycinematic is not very loud, and you have to find some way of turning it up. I've got this. No, I'm not going to get rid of it, mate. It's just, I don't need it where it is just at the moment. I've got this great mixer here. The Mix. Don't know if you can see it on that video bit. Can you? This one here. It's called the Mix. The Mix. I don't know, from Feedback Modular, and it's really great. I love everything about it, other than the fact there's no mono input, because it's a stereo mixer, as in it's mixing for stereo sources. So this is great, but so it's great for these larger modules like the stereo out of the Polycinematic or the Coral, going straight into that, brilliant. But it doesn't integrate that well with my other things. So I kind of need a mixer to stereo that I can mix monophonic sources in to then plug into this. And then use this as an output module. So you've got balanced outs if you wanted to use them. The monitoring here is real great. You've got headphone output. It just doesn't have any auxiliary sends. So I'm assuming you have to go through something first before you get there. Whereas the Rosie that I use up here, I've still got that sticking out, is it's got a send on it, which is very useful. But then you've only got two inputs, two mono inputs. Again, trying to find the mixer solution is always a tough one. Always a tough one. I mean, the great 6-channel feedback mixer I've got in my Arturia case is awesome, but it's a lot of HP it takes up. A lot of HP. So maybe this and a little mixer to stereo, because my motion meters are great, but they're only to mono again. So I'll just give that some thought. And because these larger modules also have their own reverb, perhaps it doesn't need a send. So maybe what I need is this, plus just a little strip that comes out in stereo that I can then use into there, and then that's pretty good. Maybe that's the solution. That's not as wide as the 6-channel other what's it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm starting to fall apart now, so I think we might finish off with some questions. Don't think I'm going to open a beer. You go with 104s. Yeah, wish I knew what that was. Yeah, 6-channel seems to be about right, I would say. But as I say, there's 4 stereo channels in there. So if I had a little stereo mixer, which was say 3 or 4, because you get 3 knobs easily in here, that give you lots of room for doing things. If I could have 3 that had a send on it for an effect, put that alongside, stereo out into here, then I would have room for 2 for 3 other things, and then perhaps 3 things going to there, and then that's just 6 things, isn't it? Almost like I need a couple of little stereo mixers. I could have a percussion one and like a bassline one. Maybe that's the answer. But then I need more effects. Oh my goodness, there's no end to it. Yeah, I mean, the hex mix is great, but it's a big thing. It takes up a lot of space. A lot of space. A couple of small Dofer ones before it. Jumble Henge, is that the one that's sort of mixes itself, where you, depending on where you plug it in, puts it in a stereo field? Because I really like that idea, because I would like to pan stuff. That's the other thing I can't do there. Oh, damn it. And I appreciate its ability just to, it throws stuff around without you having to worry about it. ST Mix and the Cosmix. Pafaco ST Mix. No, I don't have that. That's an out. That's an out. No. Oh, I don't have that at the moment. Don't know what I'm looking over there for. What's great for drums? Oh, right, yeah, the Jumble Henge, yeah. What's the module on the left of the oscilloscope? That's the Coral. He's still straight down at the moment. Yeah, the Coral. This one here, that's the polyphonic one we've been using. It makes polyphonic. That's the Polycinematic. Going through the White Rabbit, which is fun. And then this, that's that again. Oh, and also going through the Nautilus. See, the OXI's already still making noises. What am I doing? What's the plan? That's going in there. See, how interesting is that now? It's all to do with context. Because, yeah, a moment ago I was playing with the Polycinematic going, oh yeah, that always sounds much better. Just plugged in the Coral. And I don't know again. It's got a stuck note somewhere. That got it. Well, I never did. So that was great. That was Coral again. Again, as I say, if you do it, you know, I had great difficulty finding what I wanted within a patch while the patch was happening. But just sitting here and playing with it, it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. I think, pretty sure, on the FM, sort of two operator FM part of it, throwing in a bit of modulation, brilliant. Throwing it through some effects, fantastic. That white rabbit, that's quite hilarious. I'm liking that very much. Yeah, see, interesting things you can pull out of it. Very interesting, beautiful, and not what you'd expect from Modular. You know, I don't want this here really, but it becomes a challenge on how do you address those sorts of modules. Again, maybe the Chord Pilot is the answer, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, no more faffing around now. Just checking there's anything that I've missed. Otherwise, we'll call it a night, I think. So, yes, as Ken mentioned, yes, I'm doing the compressor build on... where do I have that? Where did I put it? Oh, I took a pic. No, did I? Is it there? Where is it? Oh, it's up there. Is that plugged in? It is. So... see that? Don't know that you can see that. So in there, right, this compressor here. So what's happening is that a draw for the keyboard is a nice idea. That would just assume I'm in the same place all the time, which I'm not. So building this. So I've built it already, did a video building that. Now, if you remember from last year, I did all of the Erica Synth Educational DIY modules. We worked our way through them in the whole year, and they've released a new one, the compressor. And I did a build video for them because they wanted that before it was released. So before, we built it out on a breadboard, and then the next day we built it for real. This time we're doing it the other way around. So I've already built it for real, but I have the parts to another one, and we're going to build it out on the breadboard just to look at the circuits. And this time around, Morris is going to be with us, which is interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Because I will feel that I'm going to be less stumbling into it and a little bit more directed. Is that good or bad? I don't know. I don't know. But we'll do that. So that's Tuesday, coming up this Tuesday, 7 o'clock, in order to give us a good couple of hours to work that out. We'll have a look at it. I'll get my breadboard out. These are all the parts I've got here for it. Dunno, mine's a rather of a pre-production one. It's just, you know, made of old bits of tape and stuff. But we won't be doing the build of the module. We'll be using the components to try to understand what compression is all about. Or what the compression circuit is all about and what that's doing. So that's going to be interesting. So that's Tuesday night. We'll give that a go. Otherwise, on the lead up to Superbooth, as I say, I've got some videos I'm making this week, which should hopefully come out just before Superbooth, so you'll understand what it is that I'm working on and talking about. Otherwise, as I say, in my schedule, my list of things I really must make videos on, the zaps is a high priority. So is the particles. Then you know, take your pick. Ones that I haven't covered yet that I'd like to very much are the PAMs, are the Chord Pilot, are the Nautilus, are the White Rabbit. And that's just from sitting in here. The Mandrake, maybe. You know, I don't know if that needs a video necessarily. It's just sitting there thumping away, doing its flipping awesome thing all the time. You know, if I was Div Kid, I would do a good half an hour on how to get really strange things out of it, rather than just the thing that I want. He has a dedication to this that's just extraordinary. And then, you know, I've got stuff over here that I need to do. I need to do the 2500. I've got bits and pieces over there that I need to do. I've got a lot of kits to build. I've got things like the wonderful assimilator. I've got a delay echo. I've got that stuff, the alto what's it thingy stuff that I've got down here somewhere, and I need to finish the Deco stream. There's no end to it. But I've got some good stuff coming up soon, so look out for that. I also need to do the Surface Pro 9, and I've got a lovely new audio interface to try with that. The one from Sonic State Logic, Solid SSL. I don't know what I'm talking about. Losing my mind. So there we go. Lots of stuff to come. So Tuesday, do tune in, and then I'm probably not going to have any opportunity to do too much until Superbooth. Hopefully see some of you there. That would be great. And then after that, it's a whole new world. You know, this year is going to be 10 years of Molten. So I'm planning on doing something quite special for that. And I want to do a lot more performing, onwards and onwards, lots and lots more stuff. I want to do my pop rock indie modular thing. And I've also got this gig at the Village Fete in June I've got to prepare for. So no end of stuff. But thanks ever so much for spending some time with me this evening. That's been great. Thank you for all your support online. I've continued on, as I say, doing the news articles on my website, which has been interesting. I'm not sure that it's bringing the reward so perhaps might have hoped, but that's okay. I'm gonna persevere for a little while and see how that goes, and see if I can pick up a little bit more interest and try to work out how best to gather eyeballs on that sort of thing. Thanks, Booze. I appreciated your comments this evening, and thanks for being over on Twitch. God bless you, sir. So, yeah, good. You're very welcome. A breadboard. What did I call it? Yeah, Bitwig 5. That's the other thing I want to do. Oh, and I've got see, all the things I've got to do. Well, I've got a whole bunch of Era Instruments things up there. Come here. Come on. Release yourself from the box. Ugh. I got this bloody thing. Look at that. Flipping it. 3 body. Look at all those knobs and holes. What am I supposed to do with that? Good grief. I've got to plug that into something. That just looks amazing. Heck. Free ratio. Oh, FM, man. So yeah, lots to do. Lots of things I'd like to do. But hell, I'm getting through it. And yeah, and of course I want to compose some kind of symphony for the King this week as well. Of course, that's going to be important. What is it? It's called the 3 body from Schlappy. The 3 body. Yeah. I mean, I told them not to send it to me, and they said, "Oh, go on." And I said, "I really don't know what to do with it." I said, "Oh, well, we'll love to see you try." So I said, "All right then." And then I've got these wonderful things here from Era Instruments that I want to put in a rack as well. That is an Indian resonator. I have no clue what that does, but I'm fascinated to find out. I mean, I've already tried out the White Rabbit, because that one at least I understood. It's a delay and a reverb. I don't have to think about it too hard. These other ones, a bit more interesting. But again, as I say, I've got a little bit of rearranging to do, and maybe they'll find their way into my eclectic row. That could be cool. That could be cool. Right, well, last thing I want to do is start energizing myself now. I'm supposed to be going to bed. So, yes. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's it. That's where we are at the moment. And I don't have anything else to tell you. I don't think. Not just now. No, can't think. Anyway, so thanks ever so much for sticking with me, as I said. That's been fun. I enjoyed that last minute choral stuff. And yeah, I'll see you all soon. Thanks very much. Let me find the playing out thing. Are you sure you meant to type that, Ken? I'm not going to let you forget that. Yeah. Nice one. Let me find me outro music. I don't know which one it is. What's that one? That's that one. Hang on. Wait for my seamless transition. Cheers. Take care of yourselves out there.